Tomorrow is my 26th birthday, so today I'm doing something I've never done before. I'm a little nervous about it. It's something I kind of talked about with Anka, which is going to the movies by myself. So I'm going to do that today, and then I'm going to film a special episode to release tomorrow for my actual birthday. So wish me luck. I'll tell you all how it goes when I come back. Bye. So tomorrow is my birthday, and I will be 26. So I've been doing a lot of self-reflection the past few days. And as I mentioned previously, I did something I've never done today, which is go to a movie by myself. And I feel like it sounds stupid to say, but I've never had the courage, I guess, to go to a movie alone. But today the timing just felt right. And it did feel very strange to be by myself, but I didn't mind it as much as I thought it was going to. And it also wasn't as awkward as I thought it was going to be, which is really interesting. And for those of you who tuned in for my discussion with Anka, she had talked about how she also goes out to eat by herself. So that's kind of my next move on this journey of doing things alone. But I'm going to put a pin right now in that in terms of what I'm going to do that. Anyway, conversation back to birthdays. So when I was younger, I feel like I always used to love my birthday. And I've had a lot of really, really sad birthdays though, like parties where a lot of things went awry. And right now I feel like it's hard because I don't feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. Like, this wasn't my predetermined path for myself where I'm currently at. And I think it's hitting me harder because I turn 26 tomorrow. And so, especially today, it's really been hitting me like how I'm in such a different spot than I thought I was going to be at this point. And it's come with its highs and its lows. Lows being I'm in a land of confusion, I guess you could say, of not really knowing what my next step is, where life is going to take me, and that's a little terrifying. But I also had a lot of highs during this time. So meeting some of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life through networking, which is something I never thought I was really gonna do. I've met some really amazing mentors who have shown me or even discussed with me the reality that is the future and how things might seem hard right now, but at some point things are going to turn around and they're probably going to be better than I ever imagined. I know it's so important to experience these times of hardship so that we appreciate everything and everyone that we do have. But I think sometimes while you're in the middle of it, it can be really hard to see your light. And it feels very strange to say this, but a big light in my life right now has been this podcast because I've gotten to meet people that I wouldn't have gotten to meet otherwise, as well as have really deep conversations that I don't know I would have reached out to people to have had it not been for this purpose. And it's weird to think that, like, in order to have deep conversations, I have to have a reason behind it. Like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. But I think it's definitely pushed me to get outside of my comfort zone and try new things. Because, I mean, the worst thing that can happen is someone says no. So I've been reaching out to a lot of different people or individuals, groups that I admire to potentially have them come on and have a discussion because I feel like mental health is something that isn't talked about as much as it should be. And sometimes, at least for me, I feel guilty for feeling. And feeling is part of being a human. So I think the more that there are discussions surrounding the topic, the more people will realize that they're not alone in the ebbs and flows of their mind. And anyway, back to discussion point of like where I'm at with my life. It's also been really eye-opening, and I know I mentioned this on the friendship episode, but it's been really eye-opening to have moved across the country and already have formed really deep connections with people where I feel like I don't have to try or like put in a big effort to be understood or to fit in. If anything, there's kind of like an organic connection where conversation just flows and 8 hours go by and I still want to be hanging out with them. I don't want them to be leaving. And I'm not saying that I haven't had friends before that I care about. I think for me, it's just interesting that when I started paying attention to boundaries, it led me to more people or to having more people in my life who respect those boundaries. I never truly realized how important they were to have until recently. Of course, I've always respected other people's boundaries, but the concept for me, and I kind of talked about this in the Susan episode, is that I've always kind of moved mine for other people because in my mindset, if I'm in distress or need something, I would hope a friend would help me. So sometimes I've gone that extra mile to help people, even when I'm not at a good place to do that, or even when that means moving my boundaries. And I'm kind of like finally at the point where I have friendships with people where I feel fully respected and being able to say no. Again, not that I haven't had friends in the past who've let me say no. I just feel like I'm at the point where I have a lot more friendships where we both value each other on the same level. And I'm not pushed into doing things that make me feel uncomfortable or going out of my way to do things for people and it not being necessarily reciprocated. Anyway, back to the whole reflection aspect and birthdays. I think it's hard because I don't know about y'all, and obviously, I can't hear anyone respond to this, but for me, since a very young age, I've kind of had like a map or a plan in my mind of where I wanted to be at what age. And, I had to do good in grade school so I could do well in high school so that I could get into a good college so that I could get a good degree so that I could get a good job so that I could have a good life and then I could get married and have everything, just elevate from there. And so I think it's hard being at the age I'm at, knowing so many people who have found their person or their purpose, to not feel like I've fully found that for myself yet. I'm at a point, as I mentioned, or I've been mentioning, where I'm pivoting in my life. I'm figuring out who I am, what I want, and what field or career path will fill my bucket. And for me, I thought that I would already have all of this figured out at this time. And not only figured out, I thought that I'd be kind of thriving and married and like have a full blown family and know exactly my full purpose here. And instead, I'm figuring out that post college, I may be even more confused on what my purpose is than ever. Part of that being that I'm not the same person that I was when I first went into school, as well as when I was in college. And that's good that I've evolved and that I've changed. But because I'm a different person, it means that my path has also kind of altered or changed with me. And that can be kind of hard to realize at times. I think I've mentioned earlier that just because you want something so bad and you feel like it's meant for you or you think it's meant for you doesn't necessarily mean that it is meant for you. And that's where I'm at a crossroads with that. Realizing that so much energy I put into a specific task to get to where I want to be, to now realize that I think something else is out there for me and would be better for me personally. And to also have friends who like support me on that journey is amazing because I feel like right now I am been more expressive to my friends about how I'm feeling and why I'm feeling that way than I previously have been. And it makes me feel guilty at times. Like, I feel like I should be fully focusing on all of my friends and what they need and not sharing how I'm feeling about things or if I'm in a stalling period. But I've also kind of come to the realization via friends, specifically my friend Sarah, that I need to allow people to be there for me the same way that I'm there for them. And I'm not saying that like I'm the greatest person ever and oh my goodness, I'm there for everybody all the time, but I shouldn't feel guilty for sharing more of who I am and how I'm feeling. Also, I think it's kind of weird to think about the fact that I am now in my like, or I will be by the time this is posted, upper middle 20s. I thought as a teenager I was gonna have everything figured out by the time I turned 21. And I feel like I know myself less than when I was 18 at times. I was so like self-assured, or I knew my purpose, I knew what I was going to do with my future. And now there's just so many questions about where my life is taking me and what my purpose is and why am I here right now? Like, not only here in this present time, but like here in this specific city. I know that it has led me to some great things, but it's also led me to some really big hardships and lessons to be learned. And I just want to get through the hurdle part. Like, can the hardship be over and I just kind of have smooth sailing? So, anyways, birthdays. I feel like most people either love their birthday or hate their birthday. If you were in my generation and you watched Nickelodeon, you know about shoot, I can't think of her name. I think it's Trina from Victorious. She does a birthday week every year. So some people are so into them that they want presents like every single day. For me, I love the idea of a birthday and what it's supposed to represent in the aspect of you're growing, you're changing, you're able to reflect on who you have been and who you are becoming. But sometimes the reality of what they actually are can be a hard pill to swallow. Originally, what I was gonna do to celebrate my birthday was straight up nothing, because my life feels very uncontrolled right now and a little confusing. And so doing nothing kind of felt right. But I was talking to one of my friends, one of my really good friends, and she said, like, no, you should do something. You have friends here. You have people who want to celebrate you. Let us do that. And so on my actual birthday, having like one person's going to come over and there's no plans. We're just going to, I think, maybe exist, hopefully work on a craft. And that was just decided on today for that aspect. But I'm having a group of people I've met here who have deeply affected me in a positive light and made me see myself or versions of myself that I didn't know that existed. Again, in a positive way. And I'm actually excited about it. I'm which sounds weird. Like, I'm not surprised that I'm excited about it. I'm just surprised that I have friends who wanted to get together and do something with me to celebrate. Which I do feel like that sounds weird, but it just, especially being newer to a state, I'm surprised that I've made such deep connections with people that they want to, gosh, I'm like getting a little, they want to make that effort. Because, like, they don't have to, you know? As people, we don't have to do anything. My gosh. But I think that there's no stronger bond than having friendships and realizing that those friendships are reciprocal, especially when it comes to getting older, because you start to really, or at least I have started to really reflect on who I let into my life, who I put energy into, and who I let become part of my soul. Because as I mentioned with Susan, like, once I care about people, I care. I'm all in. Even if those friendships don't continue on for the rest of my life. That's okay. You know, you have people who, there's that saying, it's like people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And not everything that is good is meant to last forever. But I still want good things to happen to people who were an important aspect or component of a portion of my life. I feel like it's so important to want good things for other people, because we live in a world where it's really easy to sway to the negative and not necessarily think or see the good in people. But it's important to point out those positive qualities. I mean, I know I want people to see the positive qualities in me, so I always try and think of the positive qualities in others. And just because I'm not close with someone or I don't have a relationship with someone anymore doesn't mean that I'm a bad person or they're a bad person. It just means that life and time changed our situation and our relationship with each other, and we're in different spaces, and that's okay. Also, just in terms of life, I think it's wild to think about how much can change within a year for someone. I mean, literally a year ago, I was living in Georgia. I'm no longer in Georgia anymore. A year ago, I was obviously a younger age. A year ago, I was living in a very small town. And now I'm living in an area that has a lot more opportunity in terms of crafting hobbies, which I love, as well as just different restaurants and things that are name brand. Of course, there's still the McDonald's, but there's a lot more options to try new things and rediscover components of myself that I didn't know still existed. Also crazy to think that I have now moved across the country several times since graduating college. I mean, I knew I wanted to move out of Ohio. Love you all, my Ohioans, but the Ohio life isn't for me. And you know what will be really funny is if I end up in Ohio later in life. I will look back at this and laugh. But the Ohio life isn't for me, and so I literally have moved multiple times since graduating and got to see so many different aspects of life, meet all these people I wouldn't have had an opportunity to meet otherwise. And half of me feels like, oh, that's no big deal at all. But then I had a friend tell me, like, I couldn't do that. And moving is actually a lot of work, which I didn't really think about until actually having to move all of my stuff across the country. And having a pug, too, now he has stuff as well. But I think sometimes the things that are most worth doing are the things that we don't necessarily think about, we just do. Like, to me, since I was little, I was like, I'm going to move out of Ohio. I'm going to find somewhere, I'm not find, I'm going to move somewhere else and I'm going to find my greater purpose. And I made it happen, and it wasn't a factor whether or not it would be hard to do it. It was something that I wanted to get done for 10 plus years when I had the chance. And so I saw an opportunity and I took it. For some things, like, don't get me wrong, for some things it's a lot harder to do that than others. But I think every decision I've made has led me to the person that I am now. And I'd at least like to think in that aspect that I'm a better person than I was 5, 6, 7 years ago. An evolved person, someone who's shown some growth, someone who hopefully contributes positive energy into the world. But of course, I'm not saying that I never have a negative thought, because trust me, I do. Sometimes life is hard. But I think it's really important to focus on the good we have in our lives. Good people, good food, good pets. Yes, you blue. Good family, good clothes, good aesthetics. But anyway, to close it off, I've been reflecting. I hope that tomorrow is a good day, an easy day, not a hard day. I feel like it's gonna be a hard day, but you know, hard days happen and that's okay. It's how we get through them that really matters. And I feel like my voice is really raspy right now. Anyway, for those who listen, if anyone listens, I would love if people would leave a comment. Like, where are you at with your life? Did life lead you down the path that you thought that you were going to be at your age? Did you or are you also going through kind of the moments of confusion to hopefully lead you to your better path? And then also, just to be like awkward me, like and subscribe, guys. Okay. If y'all could, you know, share this with a friend if you feel like it's relevant, or continue to listen, I'd greatly appreciate it. The point or the reason why I started this podcast was for two purposes. One, to kind of see how I evolve over time, and hopefully it's positive and great, and I'm like, wow, look at me, as well as to hopefully potentially help other people. I mean, even if a small handful of people is positively impacted, then the purpose behind why I did this was worth it. So anyway, thanks. See y'all next week. Well, I guess I won't see you. You'll potentially see me next week. Okay, bye.